Part 4. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 31. When Zhang Chen arrived at Danfan, the entire Danfan was in chaos due to the long-term absence of its master. Shocks, screams, and sounds of fear came and went. Many disciples fled down from the upper peak in panic. The female disciple clutched her clothes tightly with tears in her eyes. The male disciple acted strangely. While running away, he touched his PG and cursed loudly. During this period, Zhang Chen also heard the screams of some spiritual beasts and birds, and he couldn't help but have wild thoughts. Whistling and pillowing his head with his hands, he walked slowly towards the upper peak of Danfan. If it had been in the past, if he had just appeared at the foot of the mountain, he would have been noticed, and the news would have spread throughout Danfan. But today, everyone was busy running away, and no one paid attention to which warrior dared to run to the top. Soon, Zhang Chen arrived at his destination. The upper peak is where the disciples, elders, and alchemy rooms of Danfan are located. Every day, there are crowds of people inside and the fragrance of Danfan is bursting. But today, at a glance, everything is a mess. The old tree was uprooted and fell to the ground. Leaves scattered on the ground, branches were broken, and there were obvious deep holes in the tree trunks. The stone bricks on the ground look like they were piled, and there are holes of the same size and depth. Birds and beasts fled in all directions. Although they were in different shapes, they had all been plucked of their feathers or fur. Everywhere you look, you can see a lot of yellow liquid, emitting bursts of pungent odor. It seems that someone must have been frightened and urinated. Zhang Chen always felt that he was someone who had seen big scenes. But when he saw this scene, he could only accept the defeat and said with emotion, "Awesome." Although the perfect quality of the heart-eating soul-charming pill can make people indistinguishable from humans and animals, it does not include other things. This also indirectly proves that Ma Wu should have had such thoughts in his heart. Obvious. The reckless heroes and undead knights are all weak compared to Ma Wu. Zhang Chen continued to move forward. "Don't come over here. Help. Someone help me, I'm just here to deliver medicine." "Elder Ma, calm down. Look carefully, I am a man." "Ma Wu. You are so unreasonable. Put down my sword." "Not even the scabbard." Waves of exclamations and disbelief came from the front. Zhang Chen quickened his pace. Soon, Ma Wu, who was holding the scabbard tightly with a look of enjoyment on his face, finally came into view. "Is this okay?" Zhang Chen was stunned. He refreshed his outlook on life again. Perhaps because the picture was too curious, the several law enforcement hall disciples surrounding Ma Wu were also stunned. An old woman and a male Danfan disciple saw this and took the opportunity to escape. But just as they got up from the ground, a breath unique to Yuan Dan monks burst out from Ma Wu, and pressed the two of them back firmly. Seeing Ma Wu drop the scabbard and walking towards him while making a strange laugh, the male Danfan disciple asked for help. "Aren't you from the law enforcement hall? Why don't you save me? This is the 10th time." Hearing this, the disciples of the law enforcement hall were in a dilemma. It's not that they don't want to save him, it's that they can't do it. They had just entered the law enforcement hall, they were just beginning to cultivate Yuan Dan, and they had just come into contact with the way of swordsmanship. Although Ma Wu is an elder of Danfan, he is still a human being. At this time, he lost his mind again and the Danhuo went wild. "If you can't beat it, go." A law enforcement hall disciple looked at his sword scabbard on the ground and swallowed hard. "Zhang Chen? Senior brother Zhufeng? Please help me, I'm willing to work for you," Danfeng disciple said to Zhang Chen again. "Zhang Chen?" Hearing this, all the disciples in the law enforcement hall immediately became alert. Because the scene just now was too scary, they realized that there was a black figure next to them. "Zhang Chen, what are you doing here?" a disciple of the law enforcement hall asked. Watching a show, Zhang Chen replied instantly. Everyone was speechless at the same time. In an instant, the eyes of the law enforcement hall disciples lit up again. Although Zhang Chen behaved badly, everyone still recognized his talent in cultivation. Even though he was just at the beginning of his Yuan Dan cultivation, if he really took action, he could smash Ma Wu to death just by taking out those good things from the Zhang family. In other words, from now on, Zhang Chen is the only one who can stop Ma Wu's atrocities. Senior brother, Ma Wu has gone crazy. Please take action to save Danfan, the leading disciple of the law enforcement hall said. Don't worry, aren't there other elders in Danfan? Zhang Chen shook his head. Urgent. Very urgent, the disciple of the law enforcement hall said again. The cultivation level of the elders in Danfan is comparable to Ma Wu. These elders are worried about the consequences if they fail, you know. To put it bluntly, they all ran away. But this was also within Zhang Chen's expectation. After shrugging, Zhang Chen still refused. How can I take action against Elder Yifeng? Who in the entire Juyan sect doesn't know that I, Zhang Chen, am the person who respects teachers the most? So shameless. Everyone complained in their hearts at the same time. What's that look in your eyes? Shall I leave then? Zhang Chen's face was stern. Don't, said the leading disciple of the law enforcement hall. In emergency situations, do extraordinary things. Furthermore, I am not asking you to kill Ma Wu, but just capture him. Ma Wu is one of the few members of the Juyan section a 6th grade alchemist cannot die. Isn't this enough to die? Zhang Chen sneered in his heart. Sure enough, those people in the Juyan sect who call themselves just men will only stare at themselves. Seeing that the disciples of the law enforcement hall wanted to persuade again, Zhang Chen waved his hand to interrupt. Okay. It's not impossible for me to take action, but, the disciples of the law enforcement hall asked. Kneel down and beg me. The behavior is in line with the villain's character. Reward, 1 ancient sword style, breaking the sky. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the disciples of the law enforcement hall suddenly darkened. Asking them to beg Zhang Chen, is it possible? They represent the sect's rules, and Zhang Chen is a typical scum of the section. This is like white and black, water and fire. How can they kneel down to each other? Calculate the time. The head of the sect should know about this and is on the way. You say that after the head of the sect arrives, he finds that the disciples of the law enforcement hall are concerned about their own comfort and let Ma Wu do whatever he wants. What punishment will you suffer? Zhang Chen smiled evilly. Hearing this, the disciples were shocked. If they follow the sect's rules, they will at least be expelled from the law enforcement hall. As everyone knows, the law enforcement hall is now in charge of Li Faju. What will you face if you make him lose face in front of the head of the sect? Zhang Chen asked. The disciples knew it well. The head of the sect wanted to promote Li Faju and let the latter become the head of the law enforcement hall, so he chose to give up his power. Li Faju's embarrassment in front of the head of the sect meant that he lost this possibility. At that time, how could he let them go easily? Such a big thing happened in Danfan, and Ma Wu went crazy again. Who do you think should take the blame? Zhang Chen asked again. As soon as this was said, the disciples of the law enforcement hall felt bad. Obviously, they were incompetent and concerned about their own safety. They were definitely the best candidates to take the blame. Please help, senior brother. After weighing the pros and cons, the disciples finally knelt down in unison. Zhang Chen smiled with satisfaction. Glancing at the distant Xiaofeng, he walked towards Ma Wu with a cold expression. At this moment, Ma Wu was still immersed in his own world, not knowing that his life was at stake. Ma Wu, our account should be settled. Holding the flame blood dragon sword, Zhang Chen's voice was like a ghost demanding his life. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 32. He. Ma Wu laughed strangely, and his eyes staring at the Danfan disciples kept flashing pink light. Seeing Zhang Chen coming with a sword, the Danfan disciples were as if they had been pardoned. After struggling to get up again, they fled to the distance with all their strength. Ma Wu seemed a little unhappy that the prey had escaped. After exhaling a strong breath of hot air, the Dan fire in his body condensed into a snake shape and rushed towards the Danfan disciples. Zhang Chen had no intention of saving people, but the fire snakes were also rushing towards him. Swish! He swung the flame blood dragon sword in his hand, and with a flash of blood, several fire snakes were beheaded and dissipated in the air. In such a situation, even if he lost his mind, Ma Wu was stunned. But it was only for a moment. The moment he saw Zhang Chen, he drooled from his mouth, as if he had seen a rare treasure, and made a sharper hee-hee sound. "Hey, your sister!" Zhang Chen immediately got goosebumps. The flame blood dragon sword was swung again, and the sword body was shining with blood. Under the stimulation of the vitality, a blood-colored sword energy of a foot wide shot out from the sword body. There was only a whoosh sound. The rapidly sweeping sword energy caused all the spiritual swords around to tremble. Wherever it went, the air was cut, the bricks were broken, and a burning breath was emitted from the sword energy, sweeping around in an instant. The sword energy wrapped around the spiritual power and strengthened itself. In just an instant, it expanded from the original 10 feet to 2 feet, 3 feet. When it arrived in front of Ma Wu, the sword energy was 10 feet wide, and it was already blood-colored. The sword way has achieved a small success, and the sword energy has taken shape. Seeing this, the disciples of the law enforcement hall exclaimed immediately. Since Zhang Chen is a special focus of the law enforcement hall, everyone in the law enforcement hall knows his information very well. Even the new disciples of the law enforcement hall knew that although Zhang Chen's talent was rare, when his Yuandan was abolished, his sword cultivation and understanding were just the beginning and he had gained the sword heart. But now, he has already cultivated the sword energy and reached the realm of minor success in the sword? Isn't this too exaggerated? It should be noted that it has been less than a month since Zhang Chen's Yuandan was abolished. And those who can directly go from the beginning of the sword to minor success in such a short time are probably only those geniuses with special sword physiques, right? What's more exaggerated is ordinary sword energy is not so exaggerated. If I'm not wrong, the blood sword in Zhang Chen's hand may be a top-grade spiritual sword, the leading disciple of the law enforcement hall said with envy. The other disciples were also coveting it. That's a top-grade spiritual sword. A spiritual weapon that only sword cultivators in the upper four realms can possess. Li Faju, the elder of the law enforcement hall, has been practicing swordsmanship for many years, and his cultivation is only one step away from the upper four realms, but his spiritual sword is only of the upper grade. Tisk tisk, he is indeed the young master of the Fengling Jiang family. His wealth is different, a disciple of the law enforcement hall said sourly. On the other hand, Ma Wu. Although he had lost his mind, he did not show any shock. But the blood-colored sword energy that was getting closer and closer to him still made him instinctively feel the crisis of life. No more strange laughter. After a crazy roar, all the fire in his body rushed out, mixed with a little pink air, condensed into a fire snake as thick as an adult's thigh, and bit the blood blade. But this was in vain. The appearance of the fire snake did not cause any resistance to the blood-colored sword energy. The next second, zi, the fire snake was cut into 2 parts while struggling, and in just a blink of an eye, the blood-colored sword energy passed through Ma Wu's body. Ah! Ma Wu screamed. His only remaining left arm, along with the left half of his body and left leg, was directly cut off. For a moment, blood splattered and the world was scarlet. With such injuries, a cultivator of the lower four realms would surely die tragically. But a Yuandan cultivator can rely on the Yuan Qi in the Yuandan to forcibly extend his life. But even so, Ma Wu still fell vertically to the ground and no longer had any ability to move. Seeing this, Zhang Chen slowly walked forward with a sword. His expression was grim, and his cold voice resounded all around. The top-grade spiritual sword is indeed difficult to control, otherwise, under that blow just now, even if you are a human Yuan cultivator, you will definitely die directly. He. Even though he was barely breathing, Ma Wu was still laughing strangely. Zhang Chen shook his head and looked down. After a while, he put the tip of the flame blood dragon sword against Ma Wu's heart. I said, "Hey, your sister." Sensing that Zhang Chen had the intention to kill, the disciples of the law enforcement hall wanted to stop him, but no one dared to speak. The reason was simple. The killing intent on Zhang Chen's body was too creepy. It was shocking. The disciples of the law enforcement hall were worried that if they spoke out to stop him at this moment, Zhang Chen might turn to attack them. In front of everyone, Zhang Chen slowly exerted force, and the flame blood dragon sword in his hand gradually pierced into Ma Wu's chest. The intense pain made Ma Wu unable to laugh anymore. Perhaps because of the excessive blood loss, the effect of the elixir was slightly weakened, and a trace of clarity was restored in his eyes. Zhang Chen, Ma Wu was shocked and terrified. How does it feel to be betrayed? Is the elixir delicious? Zhang Chen asked with narrowed eyes. Hearing this, everything that had just happened appeared in Ma Wu's mind. He thought. The heart-eating charming soul pill that Zhang Chen gave him should be of inferior quality. After all, perfect quality is extremely rare in the upper domain. But the result? Turning his head with difficulty, Ma Wu looked not far behind him. There lay a horrible corpse, which was his young apprentice. From the death, he could not bear the humiliation and finally committed suicide. Zhang Chen. Do you still have humanity? Ma Wu shouted frantically with his last strength. Humanity. Zhang Chen shook his head. He had this thing for 9 reincarnations. Even if he was determined to be a villain in this life, he still had it. But for people like Ma Wu who wanted to get rid of him, he didn't have it. Indeed. This time, in order to kill Ma Wu at the lowest cost, Zhang Chen did implicate a lot of people. But how many of these people are innocent? In the 9 reincarnations, the pain they imposed on Zhang Chen based on their own disgust was definitely many times more than what he was enduring at this moment. For example, Ma Wu's young apprentice. This person obeyed Ma Wu's orders for several lifetimes, and tricked Zhang Chen into taking poison pills again and again. Even if he was found out, he would only say, "Master forced me to do this." In previous lives, Zhang Chen did not care about it. After all, in his opinion, the young apprentice was indeed helpless. But after many lives, he found the key point. The young apprentice was afraid of him, so he also wanted him to die. During the avalanche, no snowflake is innocent. I can pick out a few snowflakes to forgive, which is my greatest humanity, Zhang Chen murmured. Zhang Chen. Stop it, a deep roar suddenly sounded from behind. Zhang Chen turned a deaf ear to it. After a cruel smile, he exerted force with his arm, and the blood sword stabbed down suddenly. Puff. The blood sword instantly pierced Ma Wu's heart, and blood spurted out. Even at the last moment of his life, Ma Wu still cursed, You will not die well. Well, it is true that you will not die well. After all, I have died 9 times in this way. While whispering in his heart, Zhang Chen drew out the blood sword, raised his hand to wipe the blood splashed on his cheek, and then grinned. Seeing this scene, all the disciples of the law enforcement hall felt their scalps tingling. At the same time, Li Faju appeared and asked coldly, I asked you to stop just now, didn't you hear it? Oh, sorry. Zhang Chen narrowed his eyes and smiled, I really can't hear the words of the idiot. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 33. Presumptuous. Li Faju was furious. As an elder of the law enforcement hall, he has never been scolded as a bad guy by his disciples like he is today. What's more, after hearing what he said, Zhang Chen actually dared to kill someone in front of him. According to the sect rules, he must be punished. Narrowing his eyes slightly, Li Faju touched the ancient sword behind him, his aura gradually rising. But soon, he gave up. Because an extremely cold aura was locking on him at the moment. Master Ju Peak, you also saw it just now. Zhang Chen committed murder in public. If this matter is not investigated, what are the rules of the sect? Li Faju turned around and asked. Committing a murder in public, Xiao Hong'ai smiled and retorted, I only saw Ma Wu losing his mind. The disciples of the law enforcement hall did not dare to step forward, but I, the disciple, risked my life to kill Ma Wu. Save Danfan everyone, protect the sect's reputation. Although Ma Wu is crazy, he is a 6th grade alchemist and has made great contributions to the sect. He should be spared and investigated in detail, Li Faju argued with reason. Li Faju, Xiao Hong'ai was angry and pointed around, look around yourself. Under such circumstances, how can you save Ma Wu's life? It's not easy for Zhang Chen to fight beyond the ranks, but you still expect him to be able to fight, capture Ma Wu calmly. No matter what, it is a serious crime for a disciple to kill an elder, even for a true disciple, Li Faju added. Moreover, Lord Nine Peaks, don't forget, Ma Wu and Dangu Pagoda. Shut up. Do you dare to use Dangu Pagoda to suppress me? Xiao Hong'ai planned coldly, her aura becoming more and more sinister. Li Faju was stunned instantly. Why should junior sister be angry? Li Faju also works for the section. A green figure arrived, it was the leader Gu Changqing. With the support of the leader, Li Faju straightened his back again, cupped his hands and said, Master, this is strange. Zhang Chen has always been at odds with Ma Wu. I guess. Everything must have evidence. You can't just rely on speculation. Gu Changqing raised his hand to interrupt and said with a smile, the words of the Supreme Elder are still in my ears. We can't just rely on likes and dislikes. Follow the order. After a brief silence, Li Faju could only stop insisting. As for Zhang Chen insulting him. Originally, according to the rules of the sect, he would definitely be punished, but now that Xiao Hong'ai was here, there was no point in arguing over such a small mistake. Li Faju didn't want to offend Xiao Hong'ai to death, after all, he couldn't afford to offend her. Elder Li is right. Ma Wu went crazy for no reason and did such evil deeds. There must be a reason for this. Gu Changqing changed the subject, looked at Xiao Hong'ai and said, Junior sister, you shouldn't mind. Let me check Ma Wu's body, right? Brother, please allow me. Xiao Hong'ai did not stop him. In the situation just now, it was her duty as a master to protect Zhang Chen. But if this matter is really related to Zhang Chen, she will no longer show favoritism. After nodding slightly, Gu Changqing moved and appeared next to Ma Wu's body. With just a finger, a spiritual light visible to the naked eye came out from his finger and entered Ma Wu's body. After a while, there are no poisonous elixir impurities in the body, or the soul is damaged, but there are no signs of external force remaining. Moreover, Ma Wu is dead at this time and cannot be investigated in the end. Gu Changqing came to the conclusion. Everyone is a visionary person. Judging from Ma Wu's behavior, it has been inferred that it should be caused by taking some kind of special poison pill. But there is no poisonous elixir left, which undoubtedly refutes this conclusion. Heart-eating soul-eating pill, Li Faju muttered softly. It's possible. Gu Changqing nodded, but the only place in the central region that can refine the heart-eating soul-charming pill is Dangyuda, and the most inferior elixirs are If Ma Wu really took the heart-eating soul-charming pill, then it can only be so crazy if it is of perfect quality. Hearing this, Xuanhuan breathed a long sigh of relief. This sentence undoubtedly completely cleared the relationship between Zhang Chen and this matter. How could the perfect heart-eating and soul-enchanting elixir that even the ancient elixir pagoda couldn't refine come from Zhang Chen's hand? Notice. Although the Fengling Zhang family is strong, they are not good at alchemy. Even if the Zhang family could purchase it from an alchemist in the upper realm, the alchemist who might be able to refine a perfect 7th grade elixir would be at least an 8th grade alchemist or above. Alchemists of this level are rare in the upper realm. If you want to invite an alchemist of this level, you need to sacrifice the Zhang family's background. Undoubtedly, Ma Wu was not qualified enough to let the Zhang family do this. What's more, even if the Zhang family is willing to bleed, they can't get him at all. Because alchemists of the 8th grade and above are basically the royal alchemists of the dynasty, and now the relationship between the Zhang family and the dynasty is very subtle. Gu Changqing and Li Faju also thought so. But even so, the two people's suspicion of Zhang Chen has not diminished. After all, it was such a coincidence. First, the Ma family was slaughtered. Then the crazy Lin Mubai chopped off Ma Wu's arm. After this incident alarmed the sect, Ma Wu was killed again because of his madness. The person who killed him was Zhang Chen. Everything seemed to tell everyone that Zhang Chen was the mastermind behind the scenes. But unfortunately, there is no evidence. Weird things have happened frequently in the sect recently. There is no trace of them, and most of them are related to Zhu Feng. Speaking of this, Gu Changqing looked at Zhang Chen and said with a slight smile, "Zhang Chen, you are the disciple of Zhu Feng, do you know something?" "Looks. I know," Zhang Chen replied instantly. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Obviously, this answer exceeded everyone's expectations. "Oh? Then tell me, who is the mastermind behind this?" Gu Changqing asked seriously with a straight face. "The mastermind behind this?" Zhang Chen grinned and pointed to the side. "It's the elder of the law enforcement hall, Li Faju." "What?" Li Faju was stunned. He couldn't believe it and said angrily, "Zhang Chen, stop spitting blood here. Do you think I really dare not touch you?" "See," Zhang Chen shrugged, "Elder Li is guilty and wants to kill to silence him." Everyone was speechless again. Li Faju was even more choked to death. "Zhang Chen, don't talk nonsense." Xuanhuan couldn't stand it anymore and scolded with a stern face. "Master, this is not nonsense." Zhang Chen shook his head and analyzed. "Master, think about it, the 5th junior sister and the 2nd junior brother have gone crazy one after another, and they all want to kill Ma Wu. What does this prove? Of course it proves that the two have a grudge against Ma Wu. Although the behavior of a crazy person cannot be inferred by common sense, there are still traces to follow. The most obvious point is that if you see the initiator of your madness, or the enemy, your madness will be aggravated. From this, it can be seen that Ma Wu must be related to the madness of the junior sister and junior brother. Continue to think about it. Ma Wu is just an elder of Danfeng. Where does he get the courage to poison the sect's genius? And no one has discovered it yet? The answer is very simple, that is, someone is instructing and shielding him. And the person who has the ability to shield Ma Wu and make sure that Ma Wu does not leave any clues is naturally our law enforcement hall elder Li Faju. After hearing these words, Gu Changqing and Xuanhuan fell into deep thought. Although it feels a bit absurd, it is not illogical. Especially from the point of view that Zhang Lianyu and Lin Mubai both want to kill Ma Wu may really be related to the madness of the two. Bullshit, Li Faju was anxious and retorted, "What's the motive? Why would I poison the sect's genius? What's the benefit for me? Besides, since Ma Wu was instructed by me, why would I kill him?" Hearing this, Zhang Chen pretended to be shocked. Looking at Li Faju in disbelief, he said to Gu Changqing, "Master, Elder Li confessed without being asked, and has admitted his crime. In my opinion, his cultivation should be abolished, his tendons and veins should be destroyed, and he should suffer the pain of thousands of swords piercing his heart. His soul should be suppressed in the mountain gate for 1,000 years, and he should be trampled and cursed by the disciples every day. How did I confess without being asked? Before Gu Changqing replied, Li Faja roared again. I just said that you instructed Ma Wu to harm my junior brothers and sisters, and I didn't say that you killed Ma Wu. Isn't this confessing without being asked? Zhang Chen asked back. This. Li Faja was confused again. He always believed that Zhang Chen was responsible for everything, including Ma Wu's death. Therefore, when he heard Zhang Chen throwing dirty water on himself, he would naturally make this association. Who would have thought that he would fall into Zhang Chen's trap? 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 34. Seeing that Li Faja was at a loss for words, Gu Changqing questioned, Ma Wu will most likely die from the perfect quality heart-eating soul-charming pill. How could Elder Li get such a level of pill? This is just a guess, Zhang Chen replied instantly. In addition to the heart-eating soul-charming pill, some high-level magic techniques can also achieve such effects. Maybe Elder Li has learned the magic techniques, or has a demon accomplice. Speaking of which, hiss. Zhang Chen took another breath of cold air. Pointing at Li Faja's nose, his expression was even more unbelievable. You are actually an undercover agent of the devil. Everyone was speechless again. Li Faja even wanted to scold his mother. Wait. Let me analyze it again. Zhang Chen looked serious and murmured. Elder Li is an undercover agent of the devil, but he has been in charge of the law enforcement hall for many years. He has repeatedly tried to kill me, the hope of the section. This must be a conspiracy of the devil. Every elder of the sect has been in the sect for many years and has passed the state of mind test. Elder Li's true identity is an undercover agent of the demon sect, and the same is true. This is enough to prove that the undercover demonic agent who infiltrated the Juyan sect is definitely not Elder Li. Someone is covering for him. And the person who protects Elder Li must be in a high position, otherwise he will not be able to pass the mood test and be in charge of the law enforcement hall. In this case, doesn't it mean? After saying this, Zhang Chen's eyes widened and he slowly turned his head to look at Gu Changqing, who had a confused look on his face. Gu Changqing. So, he, the leader, has also become an undercover agent of the devil. Nonsense, Gu Changqing frowned. I can take over the position of head of Juyan sect because I have the support of at least 60% of the supreme elders. If you analyze further, do you want to say that these 60% of supreme elders also is he an undercover demon? Originally, he thought that these words would make Zhang Chen restrain himself. Who knows? After thinking for a moment, Zhang Chen actually nodded. This is not entirely impossible. Gu Changqing's face turned dark. Zhang Chen, you are forcing analysis and confusing right and wrong. Not only are you framing the elders and leaders of the sect, but you are also damaging the unity of the sect. This move is the real undercover of the demon sect. Li Faja took the opportunity to curse. Master, Elder Li is not asking for it again. Zhang Chen handed over again. Li Faja was confused again. Gu Changqing was speechless, too lazy to answer Zhang Chen's words. Xuanhuan, who was listening with great interest, asked curiously, why didn't he bring it upon himself? Master, according to what Elder Li said, forced analysis is to confuse right and wrong, damage the unity of the sect, and is an undercover agent of the demon section. Then, isn't the fact that he has repeatedly slandered his disciples a sign of being an undercover demon sect? Zhang Chen replied. That makes sense. Xuanhuan nodded. You. Li Faja almost spit out a mouthful of old blood. After hesitating for a long time, he finally gave up, turned his head to the side, and stopped talking to Zhang Chen. At this time, Li Fajia felt that he was a little ridiculous. As the elder of the Juyan sect law enforcement hall, why should he have a verbal dispute with Zhang Chen here? It's simply demeaning. Master, Elder Li knows that his identity has been exposed, and he is speechless. Zhang Chen's voice sounded again. Li Fajia's cheek twitched again. Gu Changqing also had an extremely headache and didn't know what to say. Xuanhuan found it quite interesting. Although she didn't believe Zhang Chen's words, she didn't like Li Fajia either, so she just cooperated. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. This matter will be discussed later. After saying these words, Gu Changqing was ready to leave. Seeing this, Zhang Chen spoke first. Master, where is my reward? Award? What reward? Gu Changqing blinked blankly. Of course it's a reward for saving Danfan, maintaining the reputation of Juyan sect, and exposing the true colors of Li Fajia and Ma Wu. With such great achievements, is there anything wrong with rewarding them with a divine spiritual weapon? Zhang Chen said matter-of-factly. Gu Changqing also twitched the corner of his mouth. Although Zhang Chen struggled with logic for a long time just now, in his eyes Zhang Chen was still a suspect in these strange things. Now, the suspect actually came to him to ask for a reward? And the opening of the mouth is a divine spiritual weapon? Simply whimsical. But then again, from the surface, it seems that Zhang Chen really has some merit in this matter. What? The dignified head of Juyan sect, won't he be rewarded for his merits? Seeing that Gu Changqing didn't reply for a long time, Zhang Chen asked. Reward? Gu Changqing gritted his teeth and then threw a pill over. 4th grade nailing ling elixir? Isn't this the elixir for monks in the lower 4 realms? This is still an elixir of inferior quality. Zhang Chen looked dissatisfied after taking the elixir. This made Gu Changqing feel very happy. Of course he knew that Nailingdan was useless to Yuandan realm monks, and he just wanted to discuss Zhang Chen, a disciple who spoke openly. Guessing his master's thoughts, Li Fajia also smiled. Only Xuanhuan was dissatisfied and prepared to say something. The dignified head of the Juyan sect can only reward his disciples with such low-quality elixirs. Zhang Chen sighed and sympathized. Head, why don't you go to the Zhang family as an offering? I will protect you from now on. Don't worry. I won't say it, but this level of elixir is definitely enough. Gu Changqing felt that he seemed to have embarrassed the sect. A few days later, a wave of air appeared from the wooden house where Zhang Chen was located, causing the branches around him to sway. Breaking through to the human realm in one fell swoop is pretty good. In the wooden house, Zhang Chen smiled with satisfaction. That day, after being ridiculed by him, Gu Changqing had to take out another Yuanling pill as a reward. Yuanling Dan is a 5th grade elixir. Although it is only of high quality, it has few impurities and is just right for Zhang Chen to use for breakthrough. With the combination of elixirs and talents, he only had to practice quietly for a few days before he passed through the late stage of initial growth and broke through to the human realm. Before Yuandan was abolished, Zhang Chen was a monk in the Earth Yuan realm. Although his cultivation level is good, due to his lack of solid foundation, his combat effectiveness is only the same as that of monks of the same realm. But this time he has recondensed Yuandan and possesses the best spiritual sword, so his combat effectiveness can no longer be measured by realm. Zhang Chen secretly estimated. Now, with his cultivation in the early stage of the Ren Yuan, it is not difficult for him to fight against the monks in the late stage of the Ren Yuan. If paired with the killing move, one move, breaking the sky rewarded by the system, even an Earth Yuan realm monk will be killed directly by him. With all the means available, and using the protective trump card given by the Zhang family, even a Tian Yuan realm monk can run away if he cannot be beaten. This is a qualitative leap compared to the previous 9 lives. The question at the moment is, others don't know how strong he is. As a villain, and also the villain's senior brother, how can this be done? After some thought, Zhang Chen called his younger brother who was usually responsible for running errands. This younger brother is none other than Lu Wu, who has good physical skills. Senior brother, how can you be so outstanding? Just now, I felt the breath of your breakthrough from far away, and you broke through directly to the human realm. If you don't keep a low profile, how will other disciples survive? As soon as he entered the door, Lu Wu sighed with emotion. Stop flattering. There seems to be rumors in Zhifeng recently that if Lin Mubai is not crazy, I will be beaten, Zhang Chen asked directly. Well. After hesitating for a while, Lu Wu told the truth. It is true, but it is just gossip. There is no need for senior brother to compete with a madman. I heard that the madman seems to have come to see the master. Very good swordsmanship secrets, I've been practicing day and night these days. Obviously, in his eyes. Although Zhang Chen has reached the human Yuan realm, he is still no match for Lin Mubai in the earth Yuan realm. The realm of cultivation is one aspect. The point is that although Lin Mubai is crazy, he still has the innate Taoist bones, and the innate Taoist bones can make great progress with each passing day by refining the secrets of sword skills. In response to this, Zhang Chen just smiled disdainfully. I didn't intend to argue with the madman, but Lin Mubai went too far. Go and write a challenge to Lin Mubai now, saying that I want to spar with him, and spar with him. The location is set at the competition platform at the top of the 9 peaks. Huh, Lu Wu was dumbfounded. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 35. The next day, the 9 peaks of Juyan sect were talking about it. Zhang Chen's letter of challenge to Lin Mubai was known to almost all the disciples of Zhifeng due to the publicity of several of Zhang Chen's younger brothers. The letter of challenge was even posted in the most conspicuous position in front of the main hall of Zhifeng. After reading the letter of challenge, all the disciples were speechless. It was so shameless. Everyone knew it. Before going crazy, Lin Mubai was beaten by Zhang Chen every other day and often stayed in bed for several days. After going crazy, although Lin Mubai also moved to the mountainside, he did not take revenge, but just practiced swordsmanship on the cliff every day. In this case, Zhang Chen actually said that Lin Mubai was bullying too much. Who was bullying too much? Didn't he have any idea in his mind? Originally, everyone agreed that this competition should not be a good one. After all, Lin Mubai was crazy, how could he care about Zhang Chen? Moreover, even if he really cared about him, Xiao Hongai's character of not allowing fellow disciples to fight should stop it. Who would have thought? Lin Mubai actually accepted the challenge. After learning about it, Xiao Hongai not only agreed but was also willing to act as a referee. For a time, Zhifeng was boiling. The disciples cried with joy, and the elders were even more in tears. How many years has it been? They have been waiting for so many years, and finally they have waited for Zhang Chen to be beaten. This is definitely the most worthy thing to celebrate after Zhang Chen entered the sect. From the perspective of cultivation, the eldest brother is definitely not the opponent of the second brother. But the eldest brother has the support of the Fengling Zhang family, and he has a lot of good things in his hands. The second brother suffers in this regard. In addition to being happy, a certain disciple was also worried. As soon as these words came out, it was like a basin of cold water poured down, instantly extinguishing the enthusiasm of the disciples and elders of Zhifeng. But soon, Xiao Hongai's voice resounded throughout the 9 peaks. The competition between the true disciples this time focuses on mutual improvement. Therefore, during the competition, no party can take elixirs, and no other spiritual weapons can be used except for the weapons carried with them. The disciples of the 9 peaks had not had time to be happy, and they heard Xiao Hongai say, the rules cannot be changed. If you don't have confidence in yourself, any party can give up until the competition officially begins. This made the disciples' hearts hang again. After all, if Zhang Chen really gave up, Wouldn't they have no good show to watch? Fortunately, it didn't happen. For the rules set by Xuanhuan, Zhang Chen only replied, "If you want to fight, then fight." Although this sounded very domineering, the disciples always felt that something was wrong. Without thinking about it, the disciples became excited again. In the evening, the sky was full of red clouds. At this time, there was still half an hour before the competition, but a dense crowd had gathered around the competition platform on the top of the 9 peaks. Among them, even the figures of the law enforcement hall and other peaks disciples could be seen. Elder Li, Zhang Chen knows that he is no match for Lin Mubai, but he still wants to challenge him. "Isn't he crazy?" a young man holding a spirit sword under the competition platform said in confusion. "Humph, if that's the case, that's good," Li Faju snorted coldly. "Since ancient times, good people don't live long, and evil people last for thousands of years. In my opinion, Zhang Chen must have some conspiracy." "That makes sense," the young man nodded, his eyes shining with determination, and said, "If Zhang Chen makes some small moves and breaks the rules, even if the Lord of 9 Peaks doesn't punish him, my law enforcement hall can't sit idly by." "Well, that's what I mean," Li Faju nodded. The two chatted. "Get out of the way. Get out of the way." There was a scolding from the back of the crowd, and Zhang Chen arrived surrounded by several younger brothers. He put his hands behind his back, still dressed in black, with a cynical smile on his lips. With a light jump, Zhang Chen came to the competition platform. The competition platform was made of stone bricks, tempered by the Sec's underground fire, and was large and spacious. Walking around the competition platform, Zhang Chen spoke loudly, "Thank you all for coming to watch my heroic performance. Without further ado, each person will receive 10 low-grade spirit crystals." Hearing this, the crowd around him suddenly quieted down. "What do you mean? Want money?" "Zhang Chen, this is the 9 Peaks competition platform, not a stage. Since you have issued a challenge, the disciples have the freedom to watch. How can you charge spirit crystals?" A 9 Peaks elder spoke first. "That's true." Zhang Chen was not angry, and nodded, "You have the freedom to watch, so I also have the freedom to give up. Anyway, in one sentence, if you don't give me spirit crystals, I will give up." Everyone was speechless for a moment. "Humph," Li Faju snorted and said self-righteously, "This Zhang Chen must know that he is not his opponent, and it would be embarrassing to give up directly, so he wants to use this method to collect spirit crystals." When the voice came into their ears, many disciples suddenly realized and sighed in their hearts, "This senior brother Zhufeng is really too insidious. Spend money if you want to. It's worth it to spend money to see the evil senior brother being beaten." With this idea in mind, many disciples took out spirit crystals and threw them to Lu Wu and other Zhang Chen's younger brothers. After a little hesitation, Li Faju also took out 10 low-grade spirit crystals. "You need to give 10 medium-grade spirit crystals." Seeing this, Zhang Chen said again. "Why?" Li Faju frowned. "Because I am happy," Zhang Chen said as a matter of course. "You cannot give it, I will give up. But the money just collected is not refundable." Li Faju almost bit his teeth. The concept of middle-grade spirit crystals and low-grade spirit crystals is not the same. This is his monthly salary as an elder of the law enforcement hall. But it seems that he can't not give it. He wanted to see Zhang Chen get beaten as much as everyone else. If Zhang Chen broke the rules, he could still attack him. After a struggle in his heart, Li Faju threw out 10 spirit crystals and gritted his teeth and said, "10 medium-grade spirit crystals to buy you a beating, it's worth it?" Zhang Chen didn't reply, but just rolled his eyes. Soon, the younger brothers collected all the spirit crystals and nodded to Zhang Chen. This made Zhang Chen smile with satisfaction. As the only son of the Zhang family, he was not short of money. The reason for this was nothing more than to disgust the people watching, especially Li Faju. Time passed. Dong. An elder struck the gong next to the competition table. After the sound fell, Xuanhuan floated over and sat on the jade seat in front of the competition table. "Where is Mubai?" After looking around, she asked. This made many disciples' hearts hang in the air. At this moment, they remembered an important question. Lin Mubai is crazy. How can we expect a crazy person to arrive on time for the competition? If Lin Mubai doesn't come today, they will not only not see the long-awaited scene of Zhang Chen being beaten, but also the spiritual stones they paid will be wasted. "Get out of here," a vicious voice suddenly sounded. Everyone looked back and felt relieved. The person who came was Lin Mubai. Although he was still dressed like a savage, from the majestic and sharp aura like a knife, it was obvious that his strength had improved. "Second brother, I support you. Justice is served at this moment. Beat the eldest brother to the ground. Second brother, beat the eldest brother, you are the first person of Zhifeng Zhenchuan. We cheer for you." The crowd was boiling instantly. "Shut up. Otherwise I will chop you all," Lin Mubai was very irritable and threatened viciously. This shout made the crowd silent again. "Big brother is so handsome," a tender voice suddenly rang out again. "How dare someone support Zhang Chen? It's outrageous." With this thought in mind, everyone looked in the direction of the voice. Behind the crowd, Zhang Lianyu was as excited as a little fangirl, with a pair of beautiful eyes full of admiration. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 36. Zhang Lianyu's words made the audience sigh sadly. Now, all the disciples of Zhifeng have heard that she has fallen into madness. Some time ago, there were rumors that after she went crazy, she was obedient to Zhang Chen. Everyone was a little skeptical about this matter. After all, those who can obtain the companion emperor source and have the appearance of a female emperor are all people with strong hearts and great determination. But now, they have to believe it. Because the relationship between Zhang Lianyu and Zhang Chen is well known. If she hadn't been crazy, if she hadn't really obeyed, she would never have shouted "Big brother is so handsome" at this moment. Alas! The disciples sighed in their hearts again. The sky is unfair. Zhang Lianyu is beautiful and has a cold personality, but she has never embarrassed other Zhifeng disciples on weekdays. Lin Mubai is a congenital Taoist, a gentleman, and he also cares for the disciples of Zhifeng. Why did these two people go crazy? If someone is going to go crazy, it should be Zhang Chen who is crazy. Could it be that everything is really as Li Faju said, good people don't live long, evil people live 1,000 years? "Lianyu, come to master." After sighing, Xuanhuan waved to Zhang Lianyu. After thinking for a while, Zhang Lianyu walked over honestly and stood behind her master. Such a well-behaved appearance made Xuanhuan's face happy, and she secretly said, "The 9 abyssal embryo really has some effect." What she didn't know was, the reason why Zhang Lianyu was so honest was just because Zhang Chen asked her to listen to her master. "Lin Mubai, if you dare to hurt the eldest brother, I will cut you into 8 pieces and throw you into the toilet." Standing next to Xuanhuan, Zhang Lianyu threatened again. After this, everyone shook their heads again. Xuanhuan pretended not to hear it, stood up and announced, "This time it is a competition between fellow disciples, so stop when it's over. If you hurt the other party's life, you will be punished according to the sect rules for harming fellow disciples." "I have no objection." Zhang Chen nodded. Lin Mubai said nothing. "If you give up now, it's still not too late." Xuanhuan said meaningfully. This was naturally said to Zhang Chen. In terms of talent, Zhang Chen is 1 in a million, but he is not as good as Lin Mubai's innate Dao bone. In terms of realm, a few days ago, he was still in the middle stage of the initial formation. After just a few days, he has entered the human Yuan realm. This Zhang Chen, is he taking drugs again? How many times have I told you to take less pills, it will cause an unstable foundation. Why don't you listen? Glancing at Zhang Chen, Xuanhuan's pupils shrank slightly. She felt tired. Her eldest disciple, who is obviously 1 in a million in talent, is always unwilling to concentrate on cultivation. When he encounters a bottleneck, he thinks about taking drugs. In the long run, Tianyuan is already the limit, and it will be difficult for him to enter the upper 4 realms in his lifetime. The elders of Zhifeng and Li Faju in the audience also noticed the changes in Zhang Chen's cultivation at this moment. After a brief shock, they all looked gloating. Did you hear what I said just now? Xiao Hong'ai asked again. Lin Mubai remained silent. I heard it clearly. Zhang Chen nodded, looked at Lin Mubai and said, second junior brother, master has made it so clear, don't you understand? It's not too late for you to surrender now. I've dealt a heavy hand, it will be too late to surrender later. How shameless. Almost all the people around him curled their lips when they heard this. But after a little thought, they showed a matter-of-fact expression. After all, Zhang Chen, the senior brother of Zhifeng, has never had a face. Today, even if I die, I will not surrender. Lin Mubai, who had been silent all the time, finally spoke. Although his tone was low, his expression was extremely firm. Hearing this, wow! The scene was in an uproar instantly. The disciples and elders who were watching understood instantly. Although the competition is limited to a certain point, if no one surrenders or loses the ability to fight, the competition will continue. Lin Muibai's words clearly mean he wants to fight Zhang Chen to the end. There is even a hint of fighting to the death. Such courage, such fearlessness, is admirable. In an instant, the crowd was boiling. The disciples raised their arms and cheered, and the elders were in tears. Second senior brother's words shocked everyone. He is a role model for our generation. From this sentence, I heard second senior brother's fearlessness and chivalry. Hundreds of disciples of Zhifeng are proud of second senior brother. Wu, I have waited for a long time, and finally waited until today. Today, second senior brother will use his majestic body and heroic fighting posture to reshape the bright and clear world of Zhifeng. Today is definitely the happiest day since I became the elder of Zhifeng. Sure enough, evil cannot prevail over good. It's not that there is no retribution, but the time has not come yet. Seeing these situations, Xiao Hong'ai had to shake her head helplessly. Anyway, with her watching, nothing serious will happen. Now I just hope that this competition can resolve the conflict between Zhang Chen and Lin Mubai, and let Zhang Chen restrain his temper. In this case, let's start. Xiao Hong'ai waved her red sleeves and sat down again. Dong. The elder of Zhifeng rang the bronze bell next to the competition table again. The competition officially began. The atmosphere suddenly became cold. Standing on the sparring stage, Zhang Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, and several unfriendly lights flashed in them. He did not expect that even if Lin Mubai was crazy, he would still want to fight him head-on. In this case, don't blame him, the eldest senior brother, for being too heavy-handed. Thinking of this, a blood sword appeared in his hand. The moment the blood sword appeared, it attracted the surrounding spiritual energy to gather, and the temperature rose suddenly. Zhang Chen only injected a little vitality into the blood sword, and it shone with dazzling blood light. The sword sound caused by the violent trembling even had a hint of dragon roar. Is this a top-grade spiritual weapon? Xiao Hong'ai frowned slightly. Top-grade spiritual weapons are basically in the hands of the upper 4 realms cultivators, and their power is completely different from that of top-grade spiritual weapons. Ordinary Yuan Dan cultivators will feel their hearts and minds torn apart just by looking at it. When Danfeng was in trouble that day, Zhang Chen used this blood sword to kill Ma Wu. At that time, Xiao Hongai saw at a glance that this sword was definitely not an ordinary one, but because of the emergency, she did not investigate it carefully. Unexpectedly, it was a top-grade artifact. Li Faju was also shocked. Although many law enforcement hall disciples saw Zhang Chen use this blood sword with their own eyes when Danfeng was in trouble and reported it to him. But Li Faju did not believe it. After all, even he did not have a spiritual sword of this level. Looking at the entire Juyan sect, only the master of Jianfeng Peak had one. Master Zhufeng. Zhang Chen broke the rules and used the top-grade spiritual sword given by the Zhang family. Li Faju suddenly shouted with envy. At this moment, the disciples who were watching realized the level of the blood sword in Zhang Chen's hand, and swallowed their saliva subconsciously. Isn't this too exaggerated? Top-grade spiritual weapons are exclusive to the upper four realms of cultivators, but Zhang Chen has it with the cultivation of the human Yuan realm. What's the difference between this and a child holding a magic weapon? Although the Fengling Zhang family is strong, the top-grade spiritual weapons are not ordinary things, and there should not be many of them. But for a mere exchange with fellow disciples, they took out such a precious spiritual sword? Sure enough. The Fengling Zhang family is inhumane. Having said that, everyone has to admit it. Although Zhang Chen cannot exert the full power of the top-grade spiritual sword, his combat effectiveness will indeed soar. Zhang Chen. No wonder you have the confidence to challenge Mu Bai, but this top-grade spiritual sword was given by the Zhang family behind you, which violates the rules set by the Peak Master. The elder of Zhufeng also shouted loudly. Are you stupid? In front of everyone, Zhang Chen directly scolded. The rules set by the master are that you cannot take elixirs, and you cannot use other spiritual weapons except the weapons you carry with you. I am Zhang Chen, senior brother Zhufeng, the only son of the Fengling Zhang family. What's wrong with carrying a top-grade spiritual sword? Is there something wrong with it? Li Faju and the elder of Zhufeng were speechless. How to say it? It seems that there is really nothing wrong. People are so annoying, who let Zhang Chen back the behemoth of the Fengling Zhang family. When Xiao Hongai set this rule, it was actually not allowed to let Zhang Chen use the Zhang family's things. The reason why it was not stated explicitly was that she didn't want to say it too specifically. Unexpectedly, this also gave Zhang Chen a chance to turn the tables. It's not against the rules, Xiao Hongai nodded. Humph. Li Faju said with disdain, although the top-grade spiritual sword is powerful, you can only hold it for 10 breaths at most with your human cultivation, and you can't exert its full power. If you want to use this sword to defeat Lin Mubai, who has the innate Dao bone and is in the Earth Yuan realm, it's simply a fantasy. The other 9 peak elders thought so too, so they stopped holding on to this point. Zhang Chen was too lazy to talk nonsense with these people and prepared to take action. Of course, before taking action, he still needs to establish a villain character. He held the sword in his right hand, with his left hand behind his back, and looked at Lin Mubai and said, "Second junior brother, listen to the master's words, kneel down and admit defeat quickly, you can't beat me. The sword has no eyes, if I accidentally destroy your innate Dao bone, it will be bad." Xiao Hongai. Listen to the master's words? When did she say this? This is a lie in front of her. Behavior in line with the villain character, reward, top-grade secret book, Qinglian sword art. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 37. Green Lotus Sword Art. Zhang Chen was delighted. This time the system reward was pretty good. The level of the secret manuals of the skills and spiritual tools is the same. There are low, medium, and high grades, as well as the ultimate and divine grades. The skills are used for cultivation, while the secret manuals are the key to improving combat effectiveness. Although Zhang Chen is the true disciple of Juyan sect, the sect's skills and secret manuals have nothing to do with him. It's not that Xuanhuan doesn't want to teach, but if she wants to obtain the secret manuals of the sect, she needs to make enough merits and get the consent of the Juyan sect's supreme elders. Although Xuanhuan is protective, this is the most stringent sect rule of Juyan sect, and she dare not violate it. The Zhang family has many high-level skills and secret manuals, but the problem is that they are all evil. Therefore, when entering the sect, Xuanhuan told Zhang Chen that as long as he is a disciple of Juyan sect, he cannot learn the Zhang family's skills and secret manuals. Helplessly, Zhang Chen had to hang the title of the elder brother of Zhu Feng's true disciple, but he practiced some common skills and secret manuals. In the 9 reincarnations, he had also tried to make contributions to the sect and get the recognition of those supreme elders. But the result is naturally, it's useless. According to the plot in the original book. It was also after his cultivation was abolished and he was expelled from Juyan sect that Zhang Chen started to practice Zhang family skills from the beginning and quickly became stronger with his talent. As the only son of the Zhang family, there were many reasons why Zhang Chen joined the Zhonggao sect. In short, there is a sentence, how can others sleep beside the bed? The current relationship between Fengling Zhang family and the dynasty is very delicate. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that as long as there is a chance, the dynasty will definitely take action against the Zhang family. The upper domain is the power center of the dynasty, and the middle domain is far away from the emperor. In addition, the Juyan ancestor is far from being as simple as it seems, so the Zhang family asked Zhang Chen to become a disciple of Juyan sect. No longer thinking about these, Zhang Chen focused on the system rewards this time. The Azure Lotus Sword art is a top-grade skill, which can only be practiced by cultivators of the upper 4 realms or some special physiques. He obviously does not meet these 2 conditions. But since he can enter the door with 1 click, he should be able to successfully learn the entry with the help of the system. Thinking of this, Zhang Chen couldn't help but get excited. With his current strength, he can only hold the top-grade spirit sword for a maximum of 10 breaths. If he exceeds this time, he will be affected by the power of the spirit sword, causing the risk of mental damage and the rupture of the foundation. But if he learns the Azure Lotus Sword art, there will be no such hidden danger. After all, the top-grade sword art is for better control and control of the top-grade spirit sword. Then, he is obviously a human UN cultivator, but he can control the top-grade spirit sword and practice the top-grade sword art? I wonder how many people will be shocked by this. Resisting the excitement in his heart, Zhang Chen focused on the battle at the moment and planned to fight quickly. Although the Azure Lotus Sword art can be practiced with 1 click, it also requires an absolutely quiet environment, which is obviously not suitable at this moment. 1 move. It only takes 1 move to defeat you. It's not too late to kneel down and admit defeat now. Zhang Chen looked at Lin Mubai and spoke again. This made many people want to laugh. Just relying on the best spiritual weapon, you want to fight in a higher realm? This is impossible. Zhang Chen did not explain, but just closed his eyes slightly. The body of the flame blood dragon sword suddenly rang loudly, and the spiritual weapons around him gathered around him, and a majestic ancient charm gradually appeared. Immersed in the ancient charm, Zhang Chen's black clothes swelled without wind, and his figure was like a sword piercing the sky. Before he made a move, he had already caused a violent wind. Big brother, do you want me to kneel down and admit defeat? Lin Mubai asked softly while walking slowly. Zhang Chen, who was holding back a big move, chose not to pay attention. It's impossible to admit defeat, Lin Mubai said again. This made the onlookers nod in agreement. No need to emphasize it again and again, they all understand. Zhang Chen is so arrogant, how could he admit defeat? It must be treated. Second senior brother, we support you, a disciple raised his arms and shouted. Junior brother Mubai, go all out without any reservation. Although the top-grade spirit sword is strong, it can't defeat you. Li Faju nodded and smiled. Zhang Chen was disdainful and was still holding back his ultimate move. Soon, Lin Mubai walked in front of Zhang Chen, and there was only one step between them. This made Zhang Chen a little panic. The moves and secrets rewarded by the system are all one-click entry, without any practice and learning. He only realized at this moment that the casting pre-shake of this ancient sword style is too long. Can't reduce the CD. Stay steady, it's all a small scene. Zhang Chen comforted himself in his heart again. Worried that Lin Mubai would suddenly attack, while holding back his ultimate move, he suddenly said, "Second junior brother, please step back a few steps first. You are so close to me, I am a little stressed." Hearing this, Lin Mubai was stunned. Xuanhuan was directly black line. Li Faju and other spectators who were waiting for the battle with bated breath staggered. Are you kidding me? This is a competition. A head-on confrontation. He is indeed shameless and invincible. Who wants to make the opponent take a few steps back with a word of pressure? Why don't you say let others stretch out their necks for you to chop? Zhang Chen. You are going too far. It is true that the second senior brother is crazy, but he is not a fool. Your words are insulting the IQ of our second senior brother who has a great personality and hates evil. A disciple with a strong sense of justice couldn't stand it anymore and cursed immediately. After saying that, he regretted it again. If Zhang Chen retaliates later, he will definitely be waiting for a hellish life. But the words have been said and cannot be taken back. Now he can only beg that Lin Mubai can beat Zhang Chen to half paralysis, and it would be best if he can stay in bed for more than 10 years. This statement naturally won the approval of the others. Hurry up. Don't argue, Xuanhuan frowned, already a little impatient. Just when everyone thought. After hearing Zhang Chen's words, Lin Mubai, who had gone crazy, would definitely be furious, and let Zhang Chen, the villain brother, understand what heavenly punishment means. Oh. After nodding honestly, Lin Mubai actually took a step back. Looking up, he saw that Zhang Chen didn't react. He thought about it, and kept backing away until he came to the edge of the ring. At this moment, everyone was silent. Not only silent, but also wanted to slap themselves. No one expected it. Zhang Chen just insulted Lin Mubai's IQ with words. But Lin Mubai? He proved himself with his actions, not only crazy, but also stupid. Second senior brother has always been polite and law-abiding, respecting his teacher. To think about it another way, this proves that even if he is crazy, he will give the most basic respect to the eldest senior brother, a certain disciple explained forcefully. Not bad, not bad. Makes sense. The others smiled stiffly and agreed. What if they disagreed? The money was given, and just now, influenced by the atmosphere, many people said a lot of harsh words to Zhang Chen. If he didn't stand firmly on Lin Mubai's side at this time, wouldn't it be completely cold? On the other hand, Zhang Chen. Seeing Lin Mubai so obedient, he was also stunned. But it was only for a moment. After all, the words and deeds of a madman could not be inferred by common sense. Fortunately, this did buy a lot of time, allowing him to continue to hold back his big move. Big senior brother. Lin Mubai suddenly shouted. What did you say? It's too far, I can't hear it. Zhang Chen smiled cunningly. Then I'll go over, Lin Mubai asked again. Lin Mubai? We are sparring, not joking, Zhang Chen yelled. Come and say what you want to say. Everyone and master have been waiting for too long, let's have a head-on fight after that. Oh. Lin Mubai nodded and took another step. Seeing this scene, the onlookers felt for the first time that Zhang Chen was right. They should really finish talking nonsense quickly. After all, a head-on fight is what they want to see. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lin Mubai came to Zhang Chen again. Big brother. He called softly. Everyone straightened their expressions and listened attentively. At this point, they also wanted to know what Lin Mubai wanted to say. Who would have thought? Zhang Chen suddenly opened his eyes. The big move is charged. Haha, Lin Mubai. All is fair in war. If you had attacked suddenly just now, I would have found it difficult to resist. But now, you have already lost. There is no point kneeling down and surrendering. Look, this is an ancient sword move. Zhang Chen laughed proudly. While speaking, he waved the flame blood dragon sword in his hand, and a stern sword intent emerged from his body. Seeing this, everyone was dumbfounded. The shamelessness of Zhang Chen, the senior brother of Zhu Feng, has once again refreshed the bottom line. Just when everyone was worried that Lin Mubai might be unable to resist under the unexpected circumstances. Plop! Lin Mubai knelt down. Not only did he kneel down, but he also buried his head and cried clearly. Xiao Hong Ai. Hundreds of Zhu Feng disciples. The sudden situation made Zhang Chen also look confused, and he instinctively held back the sword move that was ready to go. He cursed in his heart. Now it's good, the big move was held back in vain. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 38. The scene was very quiet and a little awkward. After taking a detailed look at Lin Mubai, Zhang Chen suddenly woke up. Lin Mubai, I really underestimated you. I didn't expect you to use this method to offset my killer move. It's so shameless. Not a human. Hearing this, the disciples were speechless again. Others have knelt. You still call others shameless? Who is shameless? Don't you have any idea in your heart? No wonder I felt a strong sword intent from Zhang Chen just now. It turns out that he was holding back a killer move just now. After a long silence, Li Fazhi finally realized. It should be a very powerful move, otherwise it wouldn't take so much time. The young man holding a sword beside him analyzed. If you compete with Zhang Chen, are you sure you can win? Li Fazhi asked again. Let me borrow a word from Zhang Chen. The young man smiled confidently and said without any modesty, one move. I only need one move to defeat him immediately. He doesn't even have the chance to use his trump card. Faced with such confident words, Li Fazhi not only did not question it, but also deeply believed it. The people of the law enforcement hall are also the best from each peak. And the young man beside him is naturally the same. The young man's name is Xuanhuan, named after the sword, and he is a rare innate sword body. Xuanhuan practiced sword at the age of 3, and entered the sword art in the same year, and gained the sword heart. He worshipped the sword of the Juyan sect at the age of 5, and achieved a small success in the sword art at the age of 10, and his sword energy took shape. The next year, he was promoted to the first true disciple of the sword. In the sword art, Xuanhuan's talent is definitely far beyond his peers. As we all know, the sword art is profound, requires concentration and refinement, and takes many years. This also causes the sword cultivator's own cultivation to be slightly lower than that of the cultivators of the same age. But instead, it is the sword cultivator's combat power that can fight across levels. Why can Li Fazhi take charge of the law hall with the peak of Tianyuan cultivation? Isn't it because he is not only a swordsman, but also a sword cultivator? Let's talk about Xuanhuan. In addition to his talent in swordsmanship, his own talent in cultivation should not be underestimated. Xuanhuan is 1 year younger than Zhang Chen and the same age as Zhang Lianyu. Just a few days ago, he just broke through to the Earth Yuan realm. An 18-year-old Earth Yuan realm cultivator, and a sword cultivator. Such talent, even in the upper domain, is a true prodigy. These are Xuanhuan's capital to look down on others. Looking at Xuanhuan with appreciation, Li Fazhi smiled with satisfaction. Then, he narrowed his eyes slightly, and I don't know what he was planning. Forget it, This competition ends here. Xuanhuan suddenly spoke, breaking the weird atmosphere. At this time, her head hurt even more. She finally understood that it was unrealistic to expect a crazy person to have a good competition. How can this be done? Zhang Chen was the first to object. Master, according to the sex rules, once you are on this competition stage, you must decide the winner. As the eldest senior brother of Zhifeng, how can I not set an example? Mu Bai is crazy. Xuanhuan's mouth twitched. Crazy, so what? I didn't force him to accept the challenge. Besides, when the second junior brother accepted the challenge, didn't the master agree to it even though he knew he was crazy? Zhang Chen asked again. This. Xuanhuan was speechless for a moment. She thought about it carefully and felt that she really couldn't favor one over the other. If the situation is favorable, agree to Lin Muibai's competition, and cancel it if it is not favorable. This is definitely not what the master should do. In that case, Muibai, you surrender. Xuanhuan said again. This made the hearts of the onlookers fall to the bottom. They all spent money. No. Lin Muibai, will never surrender today, Lin Muibai suddenly roared. This made everyone's eyes light up again. But the next second, they looked weird again. After all, it's not credible to say this while kneeling. Okay, it seems that the second apprentice brother is still determined to fight. Zhang Chen smiled with satisfaction and started to hold back his big move again. He had been preparing for this competition for so long, so he naturally wouldn't want to cancel it. I still say the same thing. As the eldest brother of the villain, he must let others know how awesome he is. Everyone became nervous again. But what they waited for was not Lin Muibai standing up, but Lin Muibai's continuous crying. Big brother, you are right, I am too much. I am not a human being. You asked me to kneel down and admit defeat, but admitting defeat is impossible. If I admit defeat, you can't beat me. Big brother, you don't have to be soft-hearted, the harder you beat the better, I can bear it. Admitting defeat is impossible, but I can kneel. Today, I will kneel down and let you beat me. Even if you beat me to death, I will never admit defeat. Woo woo, big brother. The crying became louder and louder, and by the end, it was already sobbing. Everyone sighed in despair. After repeated shocks, they were a little numb. But no one expected it. After all the fuss, Lin Muibai came here to be beaten by Zhang Chen. The bold words just now were all their misunderstandings. They knew that Lin Muibai was crazy, but they didn't expect him to be so crazy. And they paid to see Zhang Chen get beaten, but they didn't want to see Lin Muibai crying like a woman, and insisted that Zhang Chen beat them. RNM. Give me your money back. After a short silence, Zhang Chen was also a little confused. He didn't care how crazy Lin Muibai was, he was just thinking about one question. He asked him to beat him, wouldn't it be too embarrassing if he didn't beat him? But Lin Muibai was crying too exaggeratedly, with tears and snot, so he couldn't do it. It's not that he couldn't bear it, but what if the snot and tears got on him during the beating? Just thinking about it, Zhang Chen shuddered and got goosebumps all over his body. Forget it, I won't beat you today. Next time, you stay away from me. After saying this, Zhang Chen was ready to cancel his ultimate move and retreat first. Facts have proved that you can't play with a madman. Seeing this, Xuanhuan breathed a sigh of relief. She was really worried that Zhang Chen would still be able to do it in such a situation. The audience also felt bored. Although they still felt that they had paid to watch it in vain, they had to leave. But before everyone could act. Big brother, you can't leave. Lin Muibai suddenly jumped up and hugged Zhang Chen's legs, howling, beat me quickly. If you don't beat me, I'm going crazy. You're already crazy, okay, Zhang Chen kicked him away. No, I'm not crazy. I've never been so clear-headed as I am today. Lin Mubai jumped up from the ground and shouted loudly. As he spoke, his expression gradually became ferocious, and the machete that was nurtured in the purple mansion also appeared in his hand out of thin air. Seeing this, everyone was stunned again, and then became a little excited. "Why, do you want to do it again?" Zhang Chen said what everyone was thinking. After that, he continued to hold back his big move. Lin Mubai didn't reply, but quickly raised the machete in his hand. As his breath surged, thick bloodshot appeared in his eyes. "This is to fight to the death." Zhang Chen was startled and accelerated the speed of holding back his big move. Holding the machete, Lin Mubai's body trembled. He attached his vitality to the machete, and the originally plain machete suddenly became bright and dazzling. "This is the entry of the sword moves with the heart," an elder who is good at swordsmanship exclaimed. "It's only been a few days, and he has entered the sword?" Zhang Chen was startled again, and tried harder to hold back his big move. After a moment, finally, the big move is charged. At the same time, Lin Mubai also raised the machete in his hand, bringing out a lot of knife shadows. I didn't want to argue with the madman, but the madman didn't play by the rules. In this case, I won't be polite. This move is called ancient sword style. Zhang Chen took the lead and waved the blood sword in his hand again while speaking. "Since senior brother doesn't want to beat me, then today I will dig out my own Taoist bones and give them to senior brother," Lin Mubai suddenly roared angrily. After the words fell, the machete in his hand chopped straight down on his chest. "Zhang Chen, can you curse your mother?" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 39. Not only Zhang Chen wanted to curse, almost everyone wanted to. They just had hope for Lin Mubai, thinking that Lin Mubai would fight Zhang Chen to the death. Who knew? He did fight to the death, but he was only fighting with himself. "Mubai, stop it now." Seeing this, Xuanhuan shouted tenderly. While speaking, she moved her slender fingers slightly, and a flash of light shot out instantly, knocking down the machete that Lin Mubai had swung down. Everyone had not had time to relax. Lin Mubai raised another machete and still shouted, "Don't stop me. Whoever stops me, I will chop him." Undoubtedly, no one paid attention to the madman's words. Several elders jumped up at the same time and immediately pressed Lin Mubai to the ground, unable to move. "Let me go, I will kill you," Lin Mubai kept struggling. "Hey, why did he become so crazy when he was fine?" an elder sighed. "I'm not crazy." "You're crazy, your whole family is crazy," Lin Mubai cursed. The elder who spoke turned black in an instant. After a while, Xuanhuan's figure fell to the ring. Glancing at Lin Mubai on the ground, he looked at Zhang Chen and said, "Mubai's madness has worsened. This competition will be put on hold for the time being. Let's wait until the Grand Elder retrieves the 9 Abyss Soul embryo from the Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss." "Another 9 Abyss Soul embryo?" Zhang Chen was stunned. Although the 9 Abyss Soul embryo is good, the Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss does not belong to the Julian section. If you want to go, and if you want to rob, you can rob. Once or twice is fine, but if you go to rob more times. Thinking of this, a ghostly figure appeared in Zhang Chen's mind, which made him shudder. If things go wrong, the Julian sect may even bring disaster. But this has nothing to do with me. Anyway, the 9 Abyss Soul embryo is not for me. Zhang Chen said indifferently in his heart. "What do you think?" Xuanhuan asked again. "Since it is what Master said, then I naturally have no objection. After all, as the eldest senior brother of Zhifeng, I care about the physical and mental health of every junior brother and sister, Jiang Chen replied seriously. This remark made everyone speechless again. It is indeed very concerned. Anyway, if the physical and mental health is not good, it must be beaten. Xiao Hong'ai was too lazy to care, and Hongxiu gently stroked and said, in this case, then everyone will disperse on their own. Although the disciples were unwilling to accept this outcome, they had to accept the order. But just when Xiao Hong'ai was about to take Lin Mubai away, Master Zhufeng, wait, Li Faju suddenly spoke. What's the matter? Xiao Hong'ai frowned. Today, everyone came to witness the competition between the geniuses. If we disperse at this time, it would be a bit boring. I have a suggestion, and I need the approval of Master Zhufeng. Li Faju laughed loudly. Suggestion? Xiao Hong'ai sensed the taste of conspiracy. She didn't want to pay attention to Li Faju, but another young man with a spiritual sword came forward and saluted, saying, Master Zhufeng, I want to challenge Jiang Chen and borrow Zhufeng's sparring platform to spar with him. Is that possible? You are the first true disciple of Jianfeng, Zhou Jian, Xiao Hong'ai asked. Yes, Zhou Jian admitted frankly and used the method of provoking again. Jiang Chen is the first true disciple of Zhufeng, and I am the first true disciple of Jianfeng. Master Zhufeng, don't you want to see how strong Jianfeng is? Xiao Hong'ai's face suddenly turned cold, meaning that Zhufeng is weak? Of course, I don't want to see the foundation of Fengling Zhang family. Therefore, the rules remain unchanged. You can't take elixirs and can only carry spiritual tools, Zhou Jian said again. The rules remain unchanged. Isn't this clearly trying to beat Jiang Chen? Who doesn't know that sword cultivators can fight across levels, not to mention that Zhou Jian is still in the Earth Yuan realm? For a while, the disciples were embarrassed. For Jiang Chen to be beaten, they were naturally happy to see it happen. But the problem is that Jiang Chen is the first true disciple of Zhufeng. If he loses, he will lose face for him and the entire Zhufeng. How dare you? A Zhufeng elder suddenly stepped out and scolded, Zhou Jian, Zhufeng is not a place for you to run wild. Everyone knows that you are a sword cultivator in the Earth Yuan realm, and Jiang Chen is only a human Yuan cultivator? We can beat my Zhufeng elder brother. People from other peaks can't beat him. Oh, my temper. Jiang Chen was instantly unhappy with this. He didn't want to pay attention to Zhou Jian, but listen to this, is this human talk? What do you mean that only your own people can beat him? In this life, he has never been beaten by anyone. I accept this letter of challenge. Jiang Chen waved his hand. He glared at the elder who had just spoken, and said with disdain, so what if he is a sword cultivator in the Earth Yuan realm? Since he humiliated himself, I won't be polite either. Are you serious? Ignoring the mocking words, Li Faju asked excitedly. In fact, Zhou Jian challenged Jiang Chen. His purpose was to make Jiang Chen refuse and then lose face in public. After all, with such a significant difference in combat power, I believe that anyone who is not a fool will not accept the challenge. Unexpectedly, Jiang Chen's stupidity far exceeded his expectations. In any case, this is a godsend opportunity. Li Faju came from Jianfeng, so he would naturally help Jianfeng. When Zhang Lianyu joined Zhuyan sect, because her cultivation and swordsmanship talent had reached the level of Tianxiao, she was scrambled for by the masters of the peaks of Zhuyan sect. Among them, Jianfeng Peak Master and Xiao Hong'ai were the most fierce. Unfortunately, Xiao Hong'ai's backstage was too strong, and under the persuasion of many supreme elders, Jianfeng Peak Master had to give up. This matter caused some discord between Jianfeng and Zhufeng. And now, if Jiang Chen really accepted the challenge, he would not only be beaten, but also Jianfeng's limelight would overshadow Zhufeng. This would naturally make Li Faju very excited. Of course I take it seriously. I never lie. Zhen nodded, and Jiang Chen changed the subject, but But what? Zhou Jian also became excited. If you feel it's unfair, I can suppress my cultivation to the human realm, how about it? No need, Zhang Chen flatly refused, saying bluntly, what I mean is, since I am the eldest brother of Zhu Feng, I will not fear any challenge and defeat all enemies of Zhu Feng. Defend the glory of Zhu Feng. It's no problem for me to agree, but you have to pay more. After hearing this, not only Li Faju and Zhou Jian, but also the people of Zhu Feng were stunned. Pay more? What money? Soon, some disciples remembered that when Zhang Chen and Lin Mubai were sparring, he asked for 10 low-grade spirit crystals per person. Could it be that he wanted to charge money again? Zhang Chen did not disappoint everyone. After looking around calmly, he said confidently, Zhang Chen. Fighting for Zhu Feng, 20 low-grade spirit crystals per person, it's reasonable, right? Reasonable. Everyone cursed in their hearts. If they paid to watch Zhang Chen being beaten, they would be happy. But paying to embarrass Zhu Feng? Who would be willing to do this? Seeing that everyone kept shaking their heads, Li Faju gritted his teeth and said, I'll pay for this. There were hundreds of people present, and each of them had 20 low-grade spirit crystals, which added up to thousands. If they were replaced with medium-grade spirit crystals, it would be dozens. Adding the 10 medium-grade spirit crystals that Li Faju had taken out at the beginning, he lost half a year's salary in one go. Obviously, in order to achieve his goal, he was completely desperate. Elder Li is worthy of being an undercover agent of the demonic path. It seems that the demonic path has paid you a lot. Zhang Chen laughed immediately. Demonic path undercover? What demonic path undercover? All the disciples of Zhu Feng were confused when they heard this. Only Xiao Hong'ai knew that Zhang Chen was still throwing dirty water on Li Faju. Well, how to say? At least at this moment, she sounded pretty good. Zhang Chen, stop spreading rumors here. You have accepted the letter of challenge, and I have also added the money. Can we start the competition? Li Faju asked angrily. The price I just mentioned is the internal price of the 9 Peaks disciples. You and Zhou Jian will be charged separately, 100 mid-grade spirit stones each, Zhang Chen said. 100 mid-grade spirit stones, Li Faju and Zhou Jian exclaimed. This number is really exaggerated. The two of them have a total of 200 mid-grade spirit stones, which can be used to buy a good quality high-grade spirit weapon in the market. In fact, Li Faju can still afford it if he grits his teeth. But in this way, he will be completely poor. If Jian Feng and the people of the law enforcement hall make a breakthrough, or return after completing the mission, he will not be able to pay for the banquet. No. Zhang Chen, do I have to pay for going on stage to compete with you? Zhou Jian said in disbelief. Of course, Zhang Chen said as a matter of course, this is called the venue fee, do you understand? Since you want to compete with me on the Zhu Feng competition platform, you have to pay the venue fee. Then, can we change the venue? What do you think? Li Faju and Zhou Gang saw it. Zhang Chen was obviously using the same old trick to refuse this competition. But what if he saw it? So many spirit stones are really impossible to take out? Just when Li Faju began to consider whether to forget it. This money, I will pay. A faint voice suddenly came from outside Zhu Feng. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 40. The moment the voice fell, a middle-aged man in a green robe, of moderate build, with his hands behind his back and a huge sword case on his back, fell from the air to Xiao Hong'ai's side. The middle-aged man's figure was as straight as a sword, his facial features were sharp, and there was always a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. From time to time, he would use his right hand to gently stroke the short goat beard on his chin. Little junior sister, you won't be unwelcome to come uninvited, right? The middle-aged man smiled. No, get out, Xiao Hong'ai replied in seconds. This made the middle-aged man embarrassed, but he still said, "Today, since it is a competition between me, Xuanhuan, and the first true disciple of the ninth peak, I, the master of Xuanhuan peak, will naturally come out to witness it." Humph! Xuanhuan turned her head and snorted. The middle-aged man's name is Zhang Lingfeng, and he is the master of Xuanhuan peak of Juyan sect. Recently, whenever he and Xuanhuan met, the two would make all kinds of ridicules and sarcasms, and the smell of gunpowder was very strong. The reason was nothing more than Zhang Lianyu. There is no way, the temptation of the empress is too great. Even after Zhang Lianyu became Zhu Feng's apprentice, Zhang Lingfeng still felt unfair and even went to Juyan Patriarch to tell him. Xuanhuan would definitely not tolerate this. On the day she learned about this, she went to Xuanhuan and scolded Zhang Lingfeng in public. The feud between the two was thus established. Now Xuanhuan and Zhu Feng, not only do the two peak masters not get along, but if the disciples of the two peaks meet on weekdays, they will inevitably argue. Junior sister doesn't welcome me, is it because she is afraid that Zhu Feng will lose too badly? Zhang Lingfeng raised his eyebrows. Lose? Will my Zhu Feng lose? Xuanhuan retorted with disdain. You knew that Zhang Chen's Yuan was abolished and his current cultivation level was only at the Renayuan realm, but you agreed to let Zhou Jian compete with him. How come Xuanhuan has declined to this point now, and there is not even a sword cultivator at the same level as Zhang Chen? Junior sister, you are surprised. Zhang Chen accepted the letter of challenge himself, and no one forced him. Just now Zhou Jian said that he was willing to suppress his cultivation level to the Renayuan realm, but he didn't agree. Xuanhuan was speechless for a moment, and then glared at Zhang Chen again. She, as a master, didn't agree, but Zhang Chen directly accepted the letter of challenge, and even forced Zhang Lingfeng, the master of Xuanhuan peak, to show up by adding money. If you stop it at this time, wouldn't you admit that you are inferior? Master, since it is a competition between true disciples, then I am willing to fight with Zhou Jian. Zhang Lianyu suddenly arrived, and her peerless face was covered with frost again. Hearing this, Xuanhuan's eyes lit up, thinking this was a good idea. Zhang Lingfeng was a little surprised. He naturally knew that Zhang Lianyu was still mad, but from what he said just now, there seemed to be nothing wrong. At least in terms of logic, there was no problem. Suddenly, Zhang Lianyu waved at Zhang Chen on the ring again, smiling and said, "Don't worry, senior brother, I will definitely kill Zhou Jian. Twist off his head and let you kick it like a ball. With his horrible appearance, he is not worthy of fighting with you." Zhang Lingfeng decided to take back his previous idea. Zhou Jian's mouth twitched. Although he is not handsome, he is not so terrible, right? Being told this by a peerless beauty made him feel hurt. I think this is a good idea, Xuanhuan said nonchalantly. Since it is a competition between true disciples, let Zhang Lianyu fight for Zhang Chen. She is also a ground-level cultivator and has studied swordsmanship a little. Only in this way can the competition be fair. This. Zhang Lingfeng hesitated. In his opinion, Zhou Jian and Zhang Chen will have no doubts about winning. Even if Zhang Lianyu competes, as long as Zhang Lianyu does not explode the Emperor's source again due to a disagreement, the chances of winning are also 50-50. Comparing the two, Zhang Lingfeng finally chose the latter. Although Zhang Chen usually speaks ill of Xuanfeng's disciples, it would be great to beat him up, but the actual benefits Xuanfeng can get are not great. Compared with this, it is better to let Zhou Jian and Zhang Lianyu compete. If Zhou Jian can win, Xuanfeng's limelight will completely overshadow Zhou Feng. Yes, Zhang Lingfeng nodded, stroked his beard and said, "This is indeed more fair, and my Xuanfeng disciples never bully the weak." Everyone knew who he was referring to as weak. Just when Xuanhuan and other people from the Nine Peaks breathed a sigh of relief, and even had some expectations, who was stronger between Zhang Lianyu and Zhou Gang? Master Zhang Feng, I can't pretend I haven't heard this, Zhang Chen said with dissatisfaction. Unlike Xuanhuan, what I like most in my life is bullying the weak. Therefore, I will definitely bully Zhou Jian. This statement shocked everyone. Xiao Hong's beautiful eyes widened, and she raised her jade hand to cover her mouth. The disciples of Zhu Feng, their mouths were already open in an O shape. I don't know what they remembered, but then they became a little excited. Zhou Jian's reaction was the most rich and exaggerated. He was angry at first, and then suddenly woke up. After thinking carefully, a little regret appeared in his eyes. After a long time, Zhang Lingfeng said what everyone was thinking, "Junior sister, it seems that Zhang Chen is also crazy." Xiao Hong'ai didn't reply, but sighed quietly. When Zhang Chen accepted the challenge, she thought it was just a young man who couldn't stand the language and acted impulsively. When Zhang Chen proposed to add money for the competition, she praised him in her heart, thinking that it was really smart to refuse the competition in this way. But at this time, the competition was no longer Zhang Chen's business, and he actually jumped out. It would be fine if he jumped out, but he said he wanted to bully Zhou Jian. Human Yuan realm is so arrogant that he wants to bully the sword cultivators of Earth Yuan realm? This is absolutely insane. Crazy. Fortunately, I asked my grandfather to go to Ghost Ridge Soul Abyss to grab 2 9 Abyss Soul fetuses, and the spare one can just be given to Zhang Chen. Xiao Hong'ai comforted herself in her heart again. Although she was dissatisfied with Zhang Chen and was extremely disappointed. But as long as Zhang Chen was her apprentice, she would definitely treat him equally. "Zhang Chen, you are a little tired, go back and rest," Xiao Hong'ai said in a sad voice, rubbing her white forehead lightly. "Go back? How is it possible?" Zhang Chen naturally didn't want to. Putting aside other things, he had already noticed everyone's thoughts at this time. If he really went back, wouldn't it be confirmed that he was crazy? He didn't want others to compare him with Zhang Lianyu and Lin Mubai, two crazy people. "Master, you know me, if there is no chance of winning, I will not humiliate myself." Zhang Chen took a deep breath and said. Hearing this, Xiao Hong'ai was stunned for a moment. When saying this, Zhang Chen put away his cynicism, and his words revealed an extremely strong confidence. She is really rare to see this look. "Zhang Lianyu, this battle has nothing to do with you, go wherever you feel cool." Zhang Chen looked at Zhang Lianyu again and said. "Oh." Without any hesitation, Zhang Lianyu nodded honestly. After saying this, after looking around, she slowly came to the ancient tree on the right side of the ring, sat down anywhere, and propped her head with a pair of jade hands. Well, it should be cool there. Everyone guessed in their hearts. Seeing that Zhang Lianyu had given up, Xiao Hong'ai had to bite the bullet and said, "In this case, let Zhang Chen and Zhou Jian fight today." "Okay," Li Faja clapped his hands directly. The elders and disciples of Zhu Feng heard this and shook their heads silently. "Junior sister, are you crazy too?" Zhang Lingfeng blurted out. Xiao Hong'ai did not reply, but her breath gradually rose, and a red whip appeared in her hand. Zhang Lingfeng immediately backed off and turned his head to look aside. He looked like, "I didn't say anything, I don't know anything." He wasn't afraid, but he knew that if a fight really broke out, there would definitely be many supreme elders who would come out to mediate the fight and then take the opportunity to beat him up. "In that case, then you guys start." After saying this, Zhang Lingfeng left the ring and watched in front of the main hall. Xiao Hong'ai thought about it and did the same. The atmosphere became serious again, and everyone fell silent. Zhou Jian jumped up, landed on the ring, and pulled out the spirit sword in his arms with a clang. "Zhang Chen, do you dare to fight me?" He was full of fighting spirit. Zhang Chen didn't answer, but just spread his right hand. "What do you mean?" Zhou Jian was stunned. "Give me money." "Good guy, he still hasn't forgotten to ask for money." Helplessly, Zhou Jian had to turn his head and ask Zhang Lingfeng for help. Zhang Lingfeng was also unambiguous, and immediately took out hundreds of medium-grade spirit crystals and threw them to Zhang Chen. Not enough. After counting, Zhang Chen shook his head. How can it be not enough? Zhang Lingfeng frowned. Master Zhang, you are not a human being. Zhang Chen shook his head. Wow! As soon as this was said, everyone was in an uproar. Dare to insult the master of a peak as not a human being? It's so bold. Seeing Zhang Lingfeng's eyes narrowed slightly, many unfriendly auras have appeared. Zhang Chen asked again, since you are a human being, others have to pay, why don't you? Here, you are still short of 100 middle-grade spirit crystals. Zhang Lingfeng was speechless, glared at Zhang Chen, and had to take out another 100 middle-grade spirit crystals. Seeing this, Xuanhuan thought about it and also took out 100 middle-grade spirit crystals.